Imagine a man who started his life as a simple vegetable vendor, rising through sheer determination to become the ruler of Delhi. A man who won 22 battles, shattered the Mughal forces, and came within reach of permanently changing India's history. And yet, in a single moment, it was all taken away from him. This is the incredible but forgotten story of Maharaja Hemchandra Vikramaditya, better known as Hemu, a man who could have established a new era of Indian rule, but instead became one of the greatest what-ifs in history. How did a vegetable seller become the prime minister of an empire? How did he win Delhi from the mighty Mughals? And why did his story vanish from most history books? Stay with me as we dive deep into this epic tale of ambition, war, and fate. Our story begins in 1501 in the small town of Macheri, near Alwar, Rajasthan. Hemu was born into a Dusar Brahmin family, traditionally involved in business and trade. However, his early years were far from luxurious. As a young boy, Hemu worked as a vegetable vendor in the town of Rawari, in present-day Haryana. His family had moved there in search of better opportunities, but life was tough. He spent his days selling vegetables in the local markets, learning the art of negotiation and trade. But even as a humble trader, Hemu had a sharp mind. He expanded his small business into supplying grains and saltpeter, a key ingredient in gunpowder, to the military. Through this work, he came into contact with soldiers, generals, and the world of war. Little did he know, this would set the stage for his remarkable rise. At this time, India was in chaos. The Mughal Empire was in decline, and the Afghan-led Sur Empire, founded by Sher Shah Suri, was the dominant power in North India. However, after Sher Shah's death, the empire was falling apart due to weak successors and internal conflict. One of these rulers, Islam Shah Suri, saw Hemu's potential and brought him into his administration. Hemu's knowledge of logistics, supply chains, and commerce made him an expert in managing resources for the army. This was just the beginning. Hemu quickly climbed the ranks in the Sur Empire. Under Islam Shah Suri, he was appointed superintendent of markets in Delhi, giving him control over trade, pricing, and economic policies. But he wasn't just a bureaucrat, he was a man with military instincts. After Islam Shah's death, his successor Adil Shah Suri was a weak and incompetent ruler. But he saw Hemu's capabilities and made him his prime minister and chief of the army. This was an unheard of achievement. A former vegetable vendor was now leading the armies of an empire. Between 1553 and 1556, Hemu personally led 22 successful battles across North India. He crushed Afghan rebels, Rajput warlords, and Mughal loyalists trying to bring back Humayun, the exiled Mughal emperor. His victories strengthened the Sur Empire, and soon, Hemu was more powerful than the king himself. Then, in 1556, the moment he had been waiting for arrived. In January 1556, Humayun, the exiled Mughal emperor, suddenly died after falling from his library steps. His 13-year-old son, Akbar, was now the new Mughal ruler. But his empire was in a fragile state. Sensing an opportunity, Hemu gathered his forces and launched a massive campaign to take Delhi. The Mughal forces, still recovering from Humayun's death, were unprepared for the attack. In October 1556, at the Battle of Tulakabad, Hemu's army crushed the Mughal forces, forcing them to flee from Delhi. It was a moment of triumph, for the first time in centuries. An Indian ruler had reclaimed Delhi. Hemu declared himself emperor, taking the grand title Maharaja Hemchandra Vikramaditya. Unlike the Afghan sultans he had served, he now ruled as an independent Hindu king. His coronation took place at Purana, Qila, where he revived Hindu traditions at court and ruled as a true Indian monarch. But his reign lasted only a few weeks. The Mughals were not ready to give up. Under the command of Bairam Khan, Akbar's regent. They marched toward Delhi with a massive army. On November 5, 1556, the Second Battle of Panipat began. Hemu's forces had the upper hand. His army was strong, and victory seemed within reach. But then, fate intervened. During the battle, a stray arrow struck Hemu in the eye, piercing his skull. He collapsed unconscious on his war elephant. Without their leader, his troops panicked, and the Mughals launched a counterattack. Hemu was captured and brought before Akbar. Bairam Khan ordered his execution, and some accounts even say Akbar himself beheaded him, marking his first so-called victory as emperor. The dream of an Indian ruler reclaiming Delhi had ended in a single moment. With Hemu's fall, the Mughal Empire was cemented in India for the next 200 years. But what if that arrow had missed? What if Hemu had won at Panipat? Would India have seen a Hindu dynasty rise, changing the course of history forever? We'll never know. But one thing is certain, Maharaja Hemchandra Vikramaditya's rise from a simple trader to a warrior king is one of the most extraordinary untold stories in history. Despite his incredible journey from a humble vegetable vendor to an emperor, Hemu's story remains largely forgotten. But why? One major reason is that history is often written by the victors. After Hemu's defeat at Panipat, the Mughals re-established control over India, and Akbar's reign was carefully recorded by his official historians, including Abu al-Fazl, who wrote the Akbarnama. These accounts glorified Akbar's rise and downplayed Hemu's significance, portraying him as just another rebel. Another reason is that Hemu was neither an Afghan nor a Mughal, he was a Hindu ruler who rose during a time when foreign dynasties dominated India. Unlike Rajput kings who had established lineages, Hemu was a self-made leader, and later rulers did not consider him part of their legacy. History is full of unsung heroes, forgotten warriors, and battles that shaped our world. The story of Maharaja Hemchandra Vikramaditya, Hemu, is one of resilience, courage, and fate. He was a man who defied the odds, rose from a humble background to challenge the mightiest empire of his time, and nearly changed the course of Indian history forever. But despite his incredible journey, his legacy has been buried under the pages of history, overshadowed by the victors who wrote it. So, now it's up to us to remember, to rediscover, and to share these stories with the world. If you found this video informative and inspiring, make sure to hit that like button. It helps spread stories like this to more people. And if you love learning about hidden chapters of history, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. But most importantly, tell us in the comments, what do you think would have happened if Hemu had won at Panipat? Could he have built a long-lasting Hindu empire? Would history as we know it be completely different? Let's keep this conversation alive. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next deep dive into history.